What's up, everyone? Welcome to Fantasy Football Office Hours presented by Front Yard Fantasy. You may have just been with us watching the Fantasy Football Game Show, but we are here now for some office hours. We're in the office just ready to answer your questions for week 2. Whatever you got, bring them to us. It can be about start sits, trades, lineup questions, waiver wire stuff, matchups. You want to just rate your team, or if you want to know what Josh's favorite vegetable is, you can ask us anything during this time. We got Anthony in here already saying Happy Mexican Independence Day, according to my work calendar. Happy Mexican Independence Day to anybody celebrating. And Anthony said, did we dump JL for his terrible Eclair take? Yep.
Well, here's the thing, Simon. Would you make Eclairs? Didn't you agree with JL? Am I wrong?
I put them in the average category. I didn't vary them. I put them in C. Yeah, I said Eclairs are totally fine. They're totally average. Josh, there were so many desserts on that list that I wanted to talk about. Like
Eclairs are top tier desserts.
They're a middle tier dessert for me. They aren't all that great, but like funnel cakes, we didn't even talk about them. Funnel cakes are S tier.
Oh my God. Yeah, funnel cakes are absolutely S tier. I know you put churros in S tier, so I'm right there with you, like all day.
Fried dough mess me up. I don't even care what form it's in. If you fry dough, I will eat it.
I couldn't agree more, Simon. I really couldn't agree more.
This wasn't supposed to be us just talking about desserts some more, but that's okay. That's how we got started.
But we can make it whatever we want, right?
Yeah, everyone watching, if you've got questions, make sure you bring them in here. We'll be glad to answer them. Josh, we talked a little bit about a question I had for one of my lineups,
yes.
And I wanted to bring that back up, maybe shed some light on that decision that I was making. But before we do that, we actually have a question from Anthony. Cut Michelle or Crowder? Sony Michelle or Jamison Crowder?
I'm not super excited about either of these guys going forward, to be completely honest with you. Sony Michel's a running back, and we all know that the running back position's a little bit more thin compared to wide receivers. I don't see a world where I'm starting too much Jamison Crowder this year, though. That's the problem. So if something were to happen to Darrell Henderson, I think Sony Michel is the guy going forward. So I'm probably hanging on to Sony Michel over Crowder.
I like Crowder better, but I'm cutting him.
Yeah.
He's just more replaceable. Like I think Crowder's going to have startable weeks. I think this week might be a startable week for Crowder now that he's active. We were mentioning it earlier. Davis might have a tough matchup on the outside with Gilmore. This could be a Crowder game. We saw it last year. Volume equals points, and that's what he lives on. Just those. They're not high value targets, but it's a lot of targets he got last year, and I think we could see games where Crowder's the main target. That being said, if you have to cut one of these guys, it's Crowder for me, because you can pick up a Marvin Jones or a Nelson Aguilar or a Kendrick Bourne or someone on the waiver wire and get similar production, whereas Michelle has that upside that I'm holding on to. It is close for me though. That one hurts though, because I would prefer to cut Michelle, but I'm gonna cut Crowder.
If I had to bet real fast, Crowder's going to score more points than Sony Michel the rest of the year, but yeah, he's so replaceable. It's just I'm not going to ever really feel comfortable putting Jamison Crowder in my lineup, no matter what happens. I feel like.
Yeah, and
I know JL. I know Sony Michel had 1 carry for 2 yards. JL, I get it.
Yeah, this isn't.
Like, how many points what did Jamison Crowder do week 1? No, I'm joking. He didn't play.
Tim has a question for us. Start Gronk versus the Falcons or Andrews versus the Chiefs? That's a tough one, but I think I'm gonna go. It was not encouraging what we saw from Andrews against the Raiders. That was very discouraging. Now, I don't expect that every week.
20 yards.
Yeah, he's gonna have better weeks ahead, obviously, but I think you got to go Gronk here against the Falcons. I like that. That sounds crazy. But Josh, you even said in your Gronk short, you've got Gronk over Pitts rest of season.
I do.
Where are you going here? Gronk versus the Falcons or Andrews versus the Chiefs?
Look, I am a Ravens fan, and I'm trying not to let this affect me, but I feel like I still got to put Andrews out there for one last week. The Ravens are going to have to throw to beat the Chiefs. And if they're going to end up competing with the Chiefs, even Andrews is going to have to be involved in this offense. He's going to have to produce for them to compete with the Chiefs. I have to go Andrews here, but if Gronk is outscoring Andrews by a decent amount going forward, Gronk is moving up in my rankings even more. Gronk right now is my 5th favorite tight end. It's behind Andrews. for the rest of the season.
Those two are very close for me. This one was tough. That's right about that line for Gronk for me. Man, but I'm going to go Gronk. Anthony agreeing with you though, Josh, saying Andrews in that case.
Yeah.
And JL saying touche about your Jamison Crowder point. He scored 0 points in week 1. And Anthony saying he's going to drop Crowder and stash Curtis Samuel on IR. I like that. I think that's the move over there.
Especially knowing that you're picking up a wide receiver, like I'm much more comfortable dropping Jamison Crowder. I mean, it depends on your running backs, what they look like, but just knowing that you're picking up Curtis Samuel, I like that.
Absolutely. While we're waiting for more questions to come in, Josh, we talked a little bit about it. I'm going to run through it again. So, we got another one. Maybe we'll get to my question.
We'll never get there.
I'll have to make the decision myself.
I'm trying to remember what it was again.
Start Tyler Higbee or Kyle Pitts this week, Josh?
Yeah. So Higbee looked great last week. He looked great. I think Stafford is going to make him a mainstay in this offense. But at the same time, Higbee is at best maybe second in this pecking order. And I know Pitts is second as well, but I am taking another shot at the upside with Pitts again this week. Higbee is absolutely the safer option. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. Higbee is going to be involved week to week, but I'm willing to take the shot on the upside with the Falcons this week. I think Matt Ryan's going to figure out his stuff, and I am putting Pitts in my lineup over Tyler Higbee still.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's so close.
The tiebreaker for me, we talked about it a bit with the quarterbacks this week. This Tampa Bay run defense, the defense as a whole is incredibly good, but their run D absolutely obliterated Ezekiel Elliott in that game last week. I have zero faith in the Atlanta running game getting going with Mike Davis and Cordero Patterson. So they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit in this game. Kyle Pitts is going to need to be involved, kind of like you were talking about with Andrews, having to be involved for them to have a shot at winning that game. I think the same thing is true of the Falcons here against the Buccaneers. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts as well. But I do think Higbee's the safer option. He's got a more guaranteed role in that offense this week. But, man, I just can't not start Kyle Pitts this week.
That upside's there, Simon. The upside's there.
Albert wants to know Robert Woods or Jamar Chase half PPR.
No easy ones today. No easy ones.
So the Rams are going up against the Colts.
Yeah.
And the Bengals are going up against the Bears this week. So Jamar Chase against the Bears or Robert Woods against the Colts. Whew, this is a tough one. Josh, does one of these names immediately stand out to you as the one you would want to start?
No, they're in the same tier going into week 2 for me. I have a lot of trouble. It comes down to, again, upside versus safety, where I think Robert Woods is maybe a little bit more safe, but Jamar Chase is a little bit more upside. I think I'm going Chase here, but I'm going Jamar Chase. Lock in Jamar Chase for me.
They are right in that same range, like that back end wide receiver 2 territory for me this week. I'm not expecting huge games from either of them. It wasn't encouraging seeing how Robert Woods was used in that offense last week, but I think I'm still going Robert Woods. He is safer, and I think his ceiling is high enough with Matthew Stafford there. Obviously Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford have a connection, but I don't expect that same passing game script to be the case every week. We're going to see probably 2 of these guys come out as relevant each week between Higbee, Woods, Kupp. Woods has a shot at being that guy this week. So I'm going to take Robert Woods, but it is close. I agree with you. Chase has a little bit more upside in there. Charlie wants to know Kenny Gallaudet or Michael Pittman Jr. this week. Another tough one.
This one's a little bit easier for me. Michael Pittman, you might have an easier matchup. I know the Washington football team is not great, and I am not a huge Kenny Gallaudet fan, but I just have a gut feeling that Kenny Gallaudet is going to have a solid week this week. I think he's going to snag a touchdown, and touchdowns aren't very predictable, but if he does snag a touchdown, which I think his possibility of doing is a little bit higher, he's going to have a great week. I'm going to go Kenny Gallaudet, and he actually had a solid week 1.
I'm going to agree with you. It's going to be Kenny Gallaudet for me. I know it's a short week. They're playing on a Thursday night, but what that also does is it lets you know what you need to do the rest of the week. I kind of like having 1 or 2 players play on Thursday night. If Kenny Gallaudet shows up tonight, maybe if you've got a Kyle Pitts, Tyler Higbee type question, you go with Tyler Higbee. Whereas if he doesn't show up tonight, then you need to go with Kyle Pitts for that upside. Now, that's not the reason I'm making the decision, just the benefit of picking a guy on Thursday night. I'm going to go Kenny Gallaudet as well. Unruly Drip saying he's going Pitts. Go big or go home. LOL.
Let's love it. Let's go. Yeah. That's what I like to hear.
Anthony had a question. Anthony Schwartz versus Houston or Michael Pittman versus the Rams?
Well, we just talked about Michael Pittman, and I am starting Kenny Gallaudet over Michael Pittman, but this is where I will switch it to Michael Pittman. I know Anthony Schwartz. He had a couple of plays, right? Maybe Simon can talk to this more, but it's Michael Pittman here. I just trust him so much more.
Yeah, it's Michael Pittman in my mind too, even with OBJ out. I'm expecting the Browns to win this game big, I hope, against the Texans. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, look for them to be heavily involved in Jarvis Landry on a lot of these short yardage throws. They may draw up a couple plays for Schwartz. He could go for a bomb touchdown if one of them pans out, but Michael Pittman has better guaranteed volume this week in my eyes, so I'm going Pittman.
Yeah.
Jay wants to know Nyheim Hines or Will Fuller, PPR. Fuller's absence today was personal, not injury. Give me Hines. Fuller has the higher upside, but give me Hines until we see Fuller on the field. He's been in and out of lineups, whether it's due to suspension, injury. I need to see it in Miami before I put him in there. And Nyheim Hines, it's not like you're facing a drop-off to go Hines. Hines is a great start this week. Josh, where are you going here?
I agree. It feels like we have typically been going with the higher upside picks when we've been making these choices, but those are a little bit more upper echelon people we're talking about when we're coming down to Will Fuller and Nyheim Hines. It's just I don't know what Will Fuller is going to do, if anything. I know his absence. It was personal. That's fine, but that could mean something. He's missing practice at the same time. Nyheim Hines, on the other hand, guaranteed receptions. I think they're comfortable just with him as the pass catching back. I'm starting Nyheim Hines and just, playing a little bit safer in this when we're comparing these two players.
Yep, I completely agree with you. And no problem, Charlie. That's what we're here for, answering some questions. Unruly Drip has another problem for us. A little dilemma, as he says.
Oh, this one's really good.
Debo or Higgins or Jarvis? So Jarvis Landry going up against the Houston Texans with OBJ out, T. Higgins up against Chicago, and Deebo Samuel up against the Eagles. Josh,
man.
Where are you going here?
Oh, man, I hate this question. I think Jarvis Landry is I think all these guys are set up for a great game, but Jarvis Landry might have the most guaranteed just work. It's probably, for me, it's T. Higgins. I'm starting T. Higgins. It's T. Higgins.
Jarvis is definitely safe. But I do worry about the passing game in this game script against the Texans. But
I'm switching my mind. I'm going to Debo. I'm sorry. I'm going to Debo. These guys are all in the same tier for me, but I am going Debo over Higgins and Jarvis.
Yep, it is neck and neck for me between T. Higgins and Deebo Samuel. And I'm going to go Debo. I'm just going to buy a hair. I don't even know what the differentiator is. I might flip if one piece of coach speak comes out that favors one over the other. That's what's separating these two. But Debo and Higgins are both solid wide receiver twos for me this week, right around that 20 range, 18 to 20 for Debo and Higgins. Jarvis is safe, but I don't know if you want to start him. Anthony said, I really wanted to start Schwartz. I thought at least the Browns fan would support me. Damn it. You know what, Anthony? You can start Schwartz, but it's an MVS type of start where you're just hoping for that one bomb touchdown.
Yeah.
But if you want to take that shot 100%, he's the kind of player that can house a pass for 70 yards for a touchdown. One play can make his fantasy week. And
listen up real fast. I mean, we're talking about Schwartz compared to Michael Pittman, and Michael Pittman week 1 really didn't do much. What did he have? He had I don't know. He had 6 fantasy points. He had 3 catches for 30 yards about, and he's playing the Rams. And if Jalen Ramsey is shadowing him, which I don't really expect him to shadow him, but if Jalen Ramsey is shadowing him, that's a freaking problem. If you want to go Schwartz, Anthony, go for it. I'm still playing Michael Pittman over Schwartz.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we got some Browns loving here. Dog check. What's up? It's nice having more Browns fans instead of all these Ravens fans I'm surrounded by all the time.
So, yeah.
Unruly Drip says, sound good. I'm also torn between Debo and Higgins. IDKY.
That's the problem, man.
Yeah, that's It's tough. I also love Higgins' upside. That one was very, very tough for me between Debo and Higgins. It's so close.
Yeah.
We got a question from our Browns fan, though. Gage, Pittman, or Javonte Williams half PPR?
That's a good question, too.
That is a good question.
I'm
Josh,
I'm not starting Gage until further notice. I'm
100%.
willing to cut Gage, actually. I'm not willing to cut Pittman yet. I still want to see what he can do going forward. I still have more excitement for Pittman. I'm starting Javonte Williams here. He got enough carries last week to show me he's going to be pretty involved with this offense. I know Melvin Gordon had that long touchdown that really boosted his stats, but I think Javonte Williams is going to be the more reliable back in the Denver Broncos backfield going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's Javonte Williams here. Gage, you can cut him if there's someone on your waiver wire. Pittman, startable, but you've got a better option with Williams in my mind. That's where I'm going here. Rick said, I think the days of Ramsey shadowing players is done. People just don't throw at him, and it kind of ruins all the other great things he can do. Yep.
And why shadow Michael Pittman, right? I mean, exactly. Let him just play his game, but
he should be shadowing Zach Pascal.
I do think Michael Pittman's probably the most talented wide receiver there, but Jalen Ramsey, move him around the field, let him work. I'm with you.
Completely agree. Whew. Okay.
Give me your question, Simon.
Give me your question. So I'm going to phrase this a little bit weirdly. I have to not start one of these players. Okay. So all of these players have to start except for one.
Okay.
We're going to start. It's a super flex league. So my only option at quarterback with Ryan Fitzpatrick going down outside of Justin Herbert is Trey Lance. So that's one option. The other players Trey Lance, we already X'd out Trey Lance. Ignore that. Completely ignore what I was saying. Nelson Aguilar, Henry Ruggs, James Conner, TJ Hawkinson, and Ronald Jones. I have to not start one of those players. Or Rob Gronkowski.
Do you say Ronald Jones?
Yep. Ronald Jones, James Conner, Nelson Aguilar,
Ronald
Henry
Jones
Ruggs.
is out of there.
You would start James Conner over Ronald Jones this week?
I would. And when we were talking about it earlier, I don't know if I noticed Ronald Jones was part of this conversation, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Ronald Jones is part of this. I think I left him out before. I was really between Henry Ruggs and James Conner.
Yeah. Henry Ruggs, James Conner, and Ronald Jones. I feel like that's what it really comes down to. Henry Ruggs didn't look great, but if I have to rely on someone to get me some points, James Conner is going to get carries. He proved it last week, and he looked good in his carries.
More likely to get benched. I'm more likely to get a goose egg from Jones, but I think the upside's a bit higher with him.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And Bruce Arians said he was going to be the starter going into this week, which is kind of nuts.
I might bench Ruggs. What do you think about that? I didn't like what I saw for the majority of that game.
I'm fine benching Ruggs. Bench Ruggs.
We've got some questions in here. Rendon wants to know, I have Swift and he was limited in practice today because of his groin. Should I be worried and trading for Jamal Williams? I wouldn't overpay for Jamal Williams in this case. That doesn't mean don't go try to trade for him, but I wouldn't panic and try to overpay to get your backup for Deandre Swift. Swift was dealing with that last week as well, if I remember correctly. This is likely just them being careful. Until you hear that he's out, I wouldn't sound any panic alarms. Josh, what do you think?
No, I'm not. Oh,
1 second. I'll be right back.
I am not worried about Swift. I really do believe he is going to be he's going to be the starter and he's going to play this week. We were worried about his groin issue last week as well, and he ended up playing just fine. So I wouldn't be overly worried about that. In terms of having Jamal Williams while also having Swift, I think that can be a good thing. I mean, if you can trade for Jamal Williams and it's not a lot, let's say Michael Pittman for Jamal Williams, I'll make that trade all day, right? How about you? How about you, Simon? Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, I would make that trade in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So if you can trade one of these lower tier wide receivers and get Jamal Williams, sure, I'm all about it. Because if anything happened to Swift, you can plug in Jamal Williams into your lineup and feel comfortable the rest of the year.
I completely agree. We have another question here. I'm a bot. I don't believe you. Wants to know Antonio Brown or Scary Terry. Josh, what do you think on this one?
It's still Scary Terry for me. I understand, new quarterback, no more Ryan Fitzpatrick. You might be nervous about Taylor Heineke getting the start there, but I'm not as nervous. I think Scary Terry's going to get enough work to be a reliable option for fantasy, even with Taylor Heineke. Antonio Brown had a great week one. but they have a lot of mouths to feed there. The Washington football team, not quite as much. I'm not very worried about the defense for the Giants. It's scary Terry for me. It's scary Terry for me, Simon, and I can see on your face that you might disagree.
It is much closer for me in this matchup. It wasn't just Antonio Brown's final score last week. It was the amount that Tom Brady was looking to him and in key situations as well. I think AB is a staple of this offense. This is really close. I think I'm going to go Antonio Brown, though, but it is very close. I just like the upside of what that Tampa Bay offense represents, and AB could easily score 2 touchdowns against the Falcons. I am not calling for that, but I don't think Terry has that kind of upside tonight. So I'll take the upside play with Antonio Brown. Well, because I don't think there's a big drop-off in floor.
Listen,
know what I mean? I think the floor is similar.
I'm not going to knock you for picking AB here, all right, at all.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and Abe, that connection looks fantastic. All right. There's something there. But I think Scary Terry's talent, being the guy for that offense, is going to win out tonight. So come back to me and yell at me if I'm incorrect. All right. I'm fine with it.
I do not blame you at all for taking Terry there. That was one of the tougher ones we've gotten yet. Zachary wants to know, he got offered Marquis Brown for Robbie Anderson. After week 1, I am considering of puppy the trigger. I think he means pulling the trigger. Please don't puppy the trigger. What do you guys think? PPR league. Josh, Marquis Brown or Robbie Anderson? Which one would you rather have on your team rest of the season?
Oh, I was definitely on the Robbie Anderson side going into the season. I'm on the Marquis Brown side, guys. I would rather have Marquis Brown on my team than Robbie Anderson. I actually think he's going to be a consistent option for the entire season. Simon, we mentioned on our last stream that I think you brought it up. The last 5 games of the year, Marquis Brown really started turning on. And that kind of aligned with Lamar Jackson kind of getting his mind right and turning on himself. I think there's going to be more passes this year to go around. And Marquis Brown's going to have a good season. I'm worried about Robbie Anderson. I'm worried about him in this offense, especially with Christian McCaffrey healthy. Marquis Brown over Robbie Anderson for me. Robbie Anderson had 1 catch last week.
Yeah, I don't want to overreact to week 1, but this is more on me correcting for my Marquis Brown hatred, I think, than overcorrecting based on what we saw week 1. Marquis Brown's going to be involved. He has to be, at least until Rashad Bateman is back. I think I would go Marquis Brown as well, but man, that's a tough one. The other thing I'm going to say, Zachary, is I don't often like making these 1-for-1 trades across the same position, because then you're just like the one team wins and one team loses in this case. Know what I mean? Like you're taking a shot on which receiver you like better. Whereas with other trades, like if you're going cross position, you're addressing a need on your team while maybe playing off of a strength. These trades are much harder to gauge how they're going to turn out. There's in the other case, let's say this was Tyson Williams for Robbie Anderson, that could work out for both parties. And even if Tyson Williams ends up having the better season, Robbie Anderson could have been what the other team needed. They needed receivers. So that can work out. This is a tricky trade to judge, but I think I would go Marquis Brown as well. But man, that is tough. Rendon has another question for us. Melvin Gordon or Javonte Williams this week? Or is that not Javonte Williams? Is that Jamal Williams?
Or is it Tyson?
Or is it Tyson Williams? Yeah. So I'm guessing Jamal, because earlier he was trading for Jamal, but it could also be Javonte because we're talking about Melvin Gordon. We need some more information, Rendon. Which Williams are we talking about? And then we'll answer your question. Anthony wants to know Deebo Samuel or Devonta Smith. Oh, he said, wait, hold up. Antonio Brown, Devonta Smith, or Deebo Samuel. Pick 2.
Oh, you mother. Oh, no. I would have to go Antonio Brown and Deebo Samuel.
Yep, it's Antonio Brown and Deebo Samuel. I love Devonta Smith, but he's the one who doesn't make the cut against those 3 guys.
Absolutely. So.
Well, I said, had you guys on mute during a work call, and the guy with the glasses is burning 1,000 calories a minute, or without the glasses is burning 1,000 calories a minute with the most expressionful face I've ever seen. Also, Mike Evans or Terry, appreciate y'all. Yeah, Josh is known for being very expressive with his face.
Maybe that's why I'm sweating so much at the end of these streams. You know, my facial expressions are burning so many calories, you know?
Yeah. I'm going Mike Evans here. He had a bad week 1. I'm expecting a bounce back in week 2. Count him. I'm expecting a touchdown at least from him. I'm going Mike Evans.
And I'm going Scary Terry. And I'm going Scary Terry. I'm going Terry McLaurin. So I wish we could help you out a little bit more here, but we are split.
Man, you guys have great questions. No one's come in with like some super obvious ones. Like whenever I go look at my rankings, most of these guys are like back to back. But Mike Evans is slightly ahead of Terry for me this week.
Terry's slightly ahead of Mike for me.
Excuse me. Rick has a question. One team competing, one rebuilding. Which side? Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, or J.K. Dobbins, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Terrace Marshall?
Give me the Jones, Mixon, Diggs
which
side. One is rebuilding.
Yeah, side B is rebuilding without a doubt. Give me side A. Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, similar in value in Dynasty. Joe Mixon, J.K. Dobbins, honestly, probably similar in value with Mixon being older, Dobbins being out and younger.
But Mixon's playing right now.
That's what I'm saying. So Mixon, like similar in value, but then if you're competing, you want the Mixon side, and then Aaron Jones greater than Jerry Jeudy plus Terrace Marshall. This is the Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Diggs side for me all day.
Yeah. It's side A for me too. Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs. These are all top elite options in fantasy football right now. J.K. Dobbins isn't playing. Jerry Jeudy isn't playing. Calvin Ridley just had a bad week, but I love his upside. Terrace Marshall, we haven't really seen much from. It's got to be side A. I understand making this trade in a rebuild, I guess. You're going to get less points. You're going to more guarantee that number one draft pick having side B here, but side A is just filled with so many studs, got to take that side there.
Yep, I agree with you. Rendon clarified for us. He's talking about Jamal Williams. He has Javonte Williams. So I think what he's asking, he's got Swift and he has Javonte Williams. Which one would you rather target in a trade? Melvin Gordon to go with Javonte Williams or Jamal Williams to go with his Deandre Swift? I think is the question.
No, I think he's saying that Jamal Williams was the person he was referencing in the last post, and he's just saying he has Javonte Williams.
Right. So in the question, though, he was saying Melvin Gordon for Williams. I'll wait till after this week to trade for him because
Jamal. So yeah, I get it. Okay.
Would you rather keep Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams or trade Melvin Gordon to get Jamal Williams to go with DeAndre Swift?
I see more upside in Melvin Gordon over Jamal Williams, actually.
That's tough because I do see the workload decreasing for Melvin Gordon as the season goes on. Javonte Williams taking on more and more of a role in that team. I think that's a trade I'd be willing to make if you want to. I don't think you need to, though. I think you're perfectly fine having Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams on your roster, but I don't know how many more weeks Melvin Gordon's going to be tradable. We'll see. For everyone watching, guys, if you are enjoying this, if you want to make sure you don't miss next week's office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays, hit that subscribe button and go ahead and like this video as well. We are live Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Fantasy Football Game Show. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:15 Eastern time, we are back live for Fantasy Office Hours. And then if that's not enough Front Yard Fantasy for you, on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we're playing more games on the FanDuel YouTube and Twitch channels. And then Sundays at 7 p.m., we are on the FanDuel YouTube and Twitch channels recapping that day's NFL games. And JL coming in, Melvin Gordon had 170-yard rush that boosted him for sure. That's what I'm saying. I think this is an opportunity to sell Melvin Gordon, but I don't think you have to. I think he'll continue being relevant for you for a couple more weeks, but that's why I'm fine with that trade. This is Melvin Gordon had himself a game. I'm fine going to get Jamal Williams with Melvin Gordon. Totally cool.
I'm fine with it, but I don't know. If I'd rather have the package of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams or Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, I'd rather have Javonte Williams and Melvin. Well, DeAndre Swift's above all of them, but I don't know. I could see Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon each having their own kind of success. Where Jamal Williams, I don't know. In that offense, I'm just not seeing it once DeAndre Swift's fully healthy.
Yeah. Craig has an IDP question for us, which we are both very, very good at, Josh. We know a lot about IDP, so much. So, Craig, I'm going to confidently say that you should bench Devin Bush because Devin White's a superstar and Isaiah Simmons went to Clemson. So that's my advice.
Nah, you start Devin Bush and Devin White here.
Start the Devins. Josh is going with Devin squared, and I'm benching the Bush, going with Simmons and White. But disclaimer for everyone watching, we know nothing about IDP, so for the love of God, don't take our advice on IDP. We had a question right here. Wahaj, another Thursday night football start sit. Wings or pizza? I'm starting pizza and I'm sitting wings. Pizza is just so much easier to eat and it's delicious.
It depends how good the wings are and the pizza when it comes down to it. That's a cop-out answer, but I'll start pizza in general over wings.
Sit the wings. Well. Full agreement with JL as well. He said start pizza, sit wings.
Pizza's so easy.
Anthony wants to know Chase Claypool versus Las Vegas or Elijah Mitchell versus Philly.
I'm certain Chase Claypool still. He had a fine week one. Elijah Mitchell tore it up, but I am concerned about his workload going into the next week. I don't know if Trey Sermon's going to be the lead ball carrier. I don't know if he's going to even be extremely involved, Elijah Mitchell. I think he will be, but I know Chase Claypool will be. So I'm much more excited to put Chase Claypool in my lineup.
Yeah, me too. Well, Claypool had 5 targets in the first game. That's fine for me, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 7 to 8 targets for him this week. I'm going to go Claypool as well. Yeah. But that's not an indictment on Elijah Mitchell. I think he's a fine start. I like Claypool this week.
No doubt.
Craig said, "Thank you guys for answering. Anyways, we don't want to push you astray, Craig. We do not know anything about IDP, but if I was making a decision, I would just go based off someone smarter than me's rankings when it comes to IDP. There's some really smart IDP brains out there. You got some at Roto Heat. You got some smart IDP brains over there.
You got some, not many, but yeah.
I think Craig's a smart IDP brain.
Yeah, that's my problem. No, joking. I completely agree. I'm messing around with you guys.
Brendan wants to know what do you do with leagues that barely trade? What's your strategy? I have a great team, but hard to upgrade when nobody will trade. What's your stance on this? I win the league and then quit, and then don't play again next year if they're not active. It's not fun to be in non-active leagues, but you can't force people to do something they don't want to do. So if it's not a trading league, then it's probably not an active league and probably one you can leave after this year. Josh, what do you think?
I don't have much to add. Just when people aren't active and they're not responding to you, there's really not much to do. You can send out your offers, but it's probably just going to end up being a waste of time. If you have their phone numbers, like you can reach out and text them and be like, I sent you this trade. Do you want to talk about this? Like, how do you feel about players? I think that's the easiest way to do it, is to just start a line of communication with the other person. But when it comes down to it, you're saying that the league's not active. Simon's got the best advice here, probably.
There are now, if you're looking for ways to make it more active, maybe trading isn't the way to go about it to start it, but something that can get people more invested is like weekly write-ups. They can literally be like 2 to 3 sentences about each matchup, but just getting a little bit of like trash talking started with a weekly write-up about the teams, or power rankings is another fun way to make leagues more active. And once it's more active, that may lead to better trading. So if you're looking for something quick you could do to like maybe get people more engaged, write up like a power rankings after week 1 or heading into week 2, which teams you like the best, which teams you like the worst. Probably take you 30 minutes, and that can maybe get some people more involved if they're looking forward to that each week. And then that could lead to more trading. Anthony said IDP. Well, at first he said, sorry, I did the full emoji there. I didn't read the first one, Anthony, my bad. And Craig said, can always count on you to be exclusionary. Thanks, Tony.
Tony,
you got slapped with the Tony, Anthony. Well, I should sold Tyson for a 23-second in a league where he'll never be a starting consideration. Thoughts? I love it. Tyson doesn't have long-term dynasty value in my eyes, so if you can trade him for a second, do it right now. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, you threw in that little tidbit of he'll never have starting consideration. He might. You never say never, but having known that, like, yeah, get the second round pick, right? Get the second round pick. Maybe
a better way to put it is if he's starting, this team has much bigger problems. Like he's got so many good running backs that if Tyson Williams had to start, then you're probably not winning that year anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say the Ravens just came out and announced today that, the Greg Roman, the offense coordinator, said that the days of one running back getting all the touches are done. We don't expect Tyson Williams to get all the touches, but I do think that says something about getting all these other backs involved, and that they're not completely sold that Tyson Williams is their guy. So it's concerning.
I agree. Also, go Browns. Thanks. I wish my hat wasn't blurry. My internet is absolutely messed up today, but go Browns indeed, even though I've got a blurry Browns hat. And Wahaj said it's a league with only one starting running back for more context. Trade him away for a second. Fast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're never going to play him then. Yeah, I'm all about that.
Anthony said Barkley tonight or Swift at Green Bay. Swift, yeah? I'm going Swift. But it is that's about where that line is for me. But it is close. Josh, what about you? Are you going Barkley or are you going Swift? But you know what? Swift was sitting out of practice today, so that is I'm not too concerned. Like I said earlier, I think he's going to continue starting like we saw last week. But are you concerned?
Play Swift over Barkley. You're right. Do it, Anthony. It's so much safer. We just don't know what Barkley's workload is going to look like.
The team came out and said they're not unleashing him. Now, that being said, Barkley's the kind of player, even when he's not unleashed, he could easily take a handoff for 70 yards and a touchdown on the first series of the game, and then he's fine for the week. But I'm going to start Swift.
Yes,
the Chosen Rose wants to know Elijah Mitchell or James Robinson. He doesn't know about Robinson this week.
Simon and I might differ here, but it's James Robinson, and it's an easy decision for me.
This one's close for me, but I think I'm going James Robinson as well. Man, that is tough though. Elijah Mitchell's going up against Philly. I just want to see another week where there's another running back active, where Trey Sermon's active. They just brought Cannon in as well, though I suspect that's for special teams. I think Anthony was the one who came in and said that in the chat earlier. So agreeing with Anthony there. I'll go James Robinson as well. It is close. But you know what? If you spent up on your fab, if you dropped 80 fab to pick up Elijah Mitchell, it's going to be hard not to put him in your lineup. Like if you spent 80% of your fab to put him on your roster, I would still start James Robinson though.
James Robinson's the right decision.
EJ Klee has a question. Full PPR start 3, at least one has to be a wide receiver. DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, Elijah Mitchell, Damian Harris, Tyson Williams. Josh, where are you going here?
This is relatively easy for me personally. It's DJ Moore and Devonta Smith are in there. So one has to be a wide receiver. Easy. 2 are wide receivers for me, for sure. After that, Elijah Mitchell, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I'm worried about his workload. I know he got pretty much all the touches once. Raheem Mostert got hurt last week, but I don't know if that's going to be the case going forward. I think Trey Sermon's going to be involved. So it's Damian Harris, actually. So it's DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, and Damian Harris for me.
Josh, my answer is exactly the same. I'm in full agreement. It's DJ Moore, Devonta Smith,
go.
Damian Harris. I know the Patriots came out and said they want to do like Damian Harris is going to have a lesser workload because of the costly fumble, but like where the hell is the ball going to go? Ramondre Stevenson is a rookie that needs, like they've said it over and over again. He's not ready. Like he's got things to learn in pass blocking. As a back in the NFL, he's just not quite ready, even though he had a great preseason and he fumbled as well. Josh, I know we've talked about it. It wasn't as costly, but I don't buy for a second that they're going to take away some of that work for James White or Ramondre Stevenson. I'll go Damian Harris with those 2 receivers.
Yeah. No doubt.
And Anthony said, I have Gaskin in case Swift sits. And then he said, oh no, Swift is Monday Night Football. That sucks. See if you can get some Jamal Williams. Maybe that'll ease your mind a little bit.
I think Swift's going to be fine, by the way. I'm not really too concerned about him not playing.
Especially with it being Monday Night Football, right? Like that's scarier, but it's also a blessing in disguise. Yeah. It's an extra day for him. Well, Hodge wants to know Callaway or Gallaudet, and you are not abusing this forum. That is what we're here for, answering your questions. Absolutely. Callaway or Gallaudet, Josh?
It's a Gallaudet, easy for me. Callaway just kind of disappointed last week.
Yep, it's Gallaudet for me as well. I can see wanting to chase the upside with Callaway, but I just don't see it. He wasn't involved, and that offense was moving last week, and Callaway was pretty much nowhere to be seen. John Fullerton, man, that's a damn good team if you can only start one of those players. That's all I got to say first. That is a very good team if you're only starting one of those guys. Josh, it's Chris Godwin for me. It's Chris Godwin for me. Chris Godwin is a focal point he's the number 1 wide receiver on that offense. I hate saying it. I'm a huge Mike Evans fan, but I'll take the number 1 wide receiver on the Tampa Bay offense over Deontay Johnson.
Oh my God, I hate this question so much. It's super close. I guess I slightly lean Chris Godwin as well. I love Deontay Johnson this week, though. I think he should be in your lineup if you can get him in there somehow.
Yeah, if you can fit him in there, John.
Chris Godwin, a hair.
Craig wants to know, start Zach Wilson or Tua at quarterback?
It's Tua. It's Tua for me. Zach Wilson scared the heck out of me last week, and I'm just not sure what we're going to see from a fantasy perspective going forward. I'm benching Zach Wilson to further notice. Tua, I'm still excited to see what he can do. I'm still excited.
He showed enough in week 1 for me to stay excited for Tua. Wilson has I know the Patriots aren't the Patriots of old, but that defense is still decent, and Bill Belichick still knows how to abuse rookies on the other team. So I'll take Tua this week. I think he's got a little bit more upside in that matchup, though I'm not super excited for either of these guys. Buffalo is not the greatest matchup in the world for Tua to have like that breakout game, but I'll still start Tua as well. Anthony said, don't laugh. Matt Ryan at Tampa Bay or Daniel Jones tonight.
Matt Ryan at Tampa Bay, Daniel Jones, they both have tough matchups, but Matt Ryan at least has some upside. Well, Daniel Jones, I don't know, man. I don't want to start him.
It's Matt Ryan. He's going to have to be throwing the ball a lot for them to have any chance in this game. Now, that could still turn bad for the Falcons, but I'm going to go Matt Ryan as well. Any way I can avoid Daniel Jones in my lineup, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
We got time for a couple more questions, guys. Brendan wants to know, who do you like more this year, Will Fuller or Marvin Jones?
I'll go Will Fuller here. I think he has a little bit more upside than Marvin Jones. I liked what I saw out of Marvin Jones week 1. I won him on my fantasy teams, but Will Fuller has a little bit more upside, like I said.
Yep, I agree. I love Marvin Jones more than most people. I was very high on him. I have him in a lot of teams, but I would take Will Fuller just because he's got truly wide receiver 1 upside, and we've seen it. I'm not calling for that, but we saw it in Houston. Will Fuller has that kind of upside that Marvin Jones doesn't have. So I will go Will Fuller as well. Anthony said, you guys both laughed. Son of a bee.
I'm sorry, Anthony.
Well, Hodge wants to know, is Ayuk even startable? Replacements would be Rojo, Tim Patrick, or Nelson Aguilar. Josh, would you start any of those players or all of those players over Brandon Ayuk this week?
Oh, man.
I wouldn't start Jones over him, that's for sure.
I couldn't do Jones, but Tim Patrick and Aguilar are viable options over Brandon Ayuk, and that's saying a lot. Both Tim Patrick and Aguilar look good in week 1. I'm willing to start both of them, but man, with the draft capital I paid for Ayuk, I know what Kyle Shanahan's saying about Ayuk is not great, but I got to assume he's going to be out there sooner rather than later, right? He's practicing.
I'll go Aguilar. I will start Aguilar over Brandon Ayuk this week until I see it on the field. That's not saying Ayuk can't have his breakout week this week, but what we've been seeing, like Trent Sherfield played more snaps than Ayuk last week. Like that was absolutely bananas, and I am scared to death of how this is going to look. I want to see it on the field. I am totally fine starting Aguilar over Ayuk. Because Josh, what we talked about earlier, Aguilar has targets. It's going to happen. Like Aguilar will be targeted in this game. And we don't know that about Ayuk, which is crazy to say. We don't even know if he will be targeted once in this game. Whereas I'm confident Aguilar gets at least 5 targets in that range.
I actually, I have trouble between Tim Patrick and Aguilar, and that's actually probably an easier question because there's so much off the field stuff going on with Ayuk that we can't really analyze. Man, Ayuk is such a good talent. Get him out there on the field. Like, get him out there on the field. But yeah, Aguilar, I guess.
And no problem, Wahaj. You enjoy Thursday night football as well. Brendan has one more question for us. Would you trade Melvin Gordon and Marvin Jones for Gaskin and Pittman? Yep.
Yes. I prefer both of the wide receiver and the running back in part B of this trade. So I prefer Gaskin over Melvin Gordon. I prefer Pittman over Marvin Jones, even though Marvin Jones looks like the safer option going forward.
I prefer Gaskin over Gordon, and then Pittman and Marvin Jones are about equal for me. So it's the Gaskin and Pittman side of this trade. One more question, guys, before we go. Anthony wants to know DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson versus Saints. DJ Moore. Start your DJ Moore.
We talked about Robbie Anderson earlier. I think we're both a little bit worried about him going forward.
100%. Yeah, I am a little bit concerned, but not as concerned about DJ Moore.
No,
okay, guys.
Receiver.
That's it for today's Fantasy Office Hours. Hopefully everyone has a great week too. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time playing our new game, Who's the Spy? So make sure you're tuned in for the Fantasy Football Game Show to watch some of that. And then on Friday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we will be live on the FanDuel channel playing some more games. So make sure you are tuned into both of those shows. And next week, we'll be back for some office hours, 4:15 Tuesday, Thursday. Anthony's saying, bye, guys. I wanted to end on a softball. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Not making us end on the stream going, Josh, and I know you have a reminder for everyone before we
trading does make fantasy fun. Keep that in mind.
Trading makes fantasy fun.
Is fun. It says it right there. Right there. Right there.
We're out of here for today, guys. Enjoy your Daniel Jones versus Taylor Heineke showdown tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.
All right. Love you guys.
Adios, everyone.